and Oak Island real estate market update. I'm going to share 3 key stats with you that show why Oak Island may not be following the same trend that you might be hearing about in other real estate markets on the news and things like that. I'm Brian Inskip with Surf Homes NC, and this is your Oak Island real estate market update for the month of May. There's been some really cool things happening on the Oak Island real estate market, as you may have caught in my other videos. Today, I'm coming at you from a really cool property and project that I've been working on for over a year. We're at 3519 East Beach, right on the ocean front of Oak Island. I've got my sunglasses on inside because I want to be able to give you a shot of what this view is like from this brand new construction, 7-bed, 6.5 bath home. And to do that, we got to get a lot of bright light in here, but we wanted to give you an idea of what this finished product turned out to be. This property actually started with a much older home that had been in disrepair and needed torn down. So this was a tear down rebuild project. It's been a lot of fun. You can check out my blog for more of the story on this property, but we're getting ready to close on this tomorrow and just wanted to give you a look. This is one of the best views that you can get on the island. So now back to the Oak Island real estate market. So through the month of May, we saw the average sales price increase 1.4% over the prior year. If you remember my video from last month, that number was quite a bit higher. So what we're seeing happen is there was a soft point last year towards the end of the year where there were some properties that were selling for lower values, and we started to see that average sales price decline for just a few months of the year last year. Well, those properties have now closed and are now reflected in the average sales price. So if you look at that number, it looks like maybe the appreciation rate is slowing. But as I share all these stats with you, you're going to see that that's actually really not the case on Oak Island, and that we're probably going to see that number change dramatically where it starts jumping up again rather quickly. So the new listings on Oak Island was down 31.7% through the month of May. What that means is that we're seeing lower inventory levels or less homes coming on the market than we were at this point last year. So that's going to start to have a pretty big impact on our inventory and likely also on the sales price. So that average sales price, when you reduce the inventory, that tends to drive pricing up. So these numbers correlate a lot with each other, and we're going to be watching how they interact with each other in the coming months. Homes for sale is actually up 52.6%, so we're still carrying some inventory from last year, and we're still seeing higher inventory levels, although the trend is now that it's starting to slow down, and so I would expect that number to also start decreasing substantially in the coming month. Pending sales, this is a really interesting statistic, is actually up 14.5% through the month of May over the prior year, so that means that we're actually putting more homes under contract right now than we were a year ago. So when you take that number, that there's fewer listings coming on and actually more homes going under contract right now, that's why I'm predicting in the coming months we're going to start to see the average sales price going up, and we're going to start to see the inventory level settling out to the 2-month and below mark. Closed sales on Oak Island is down 23.1% year over year. So again, we're selling fewer homes, but now we're starting to see that pending number tick up. So again, these are going to start to level out and normalize. Also on that point, with the pending sales versus closed sales, with closed sales, we're looking at the market from 30 to 90 days back and a reflection of what was happening in the market right now. Pending sales is a much better indicator of what's happening in the market right now. So I would give more weight to that pending sales number than the closed sales number, and that is indicating that demand is on the rise, inventory is on the decline. Average days on market on Oak Island is actually up 140% year over year. That seems like a pretty dramatic increase. Right now we're sitting at 77 days on average for a property to sell. Again, we're carrying a lot of those properties or properties that went on the market in a soft period of last year that now is no longer in existence. So we're just starting to see those larger days on market properties that are now closing impact this ratio. But we are seeing of new listings coming out, a lot of those sell very quickly. So this is another number that I'm expecting to see start declining as soon as next month. The month's supply of homes is a key way that we measure inventory levels, and that was actually up 100% year over year. So it's basically doubled from this time last year. Interesting thing on this one is that still keeps us at 2.4 months worth of inventory, which is still by all rights seller's market and considered extremely low inventory. So even though we saw a big increase, it still has us in very much a seller's market. And also interestingly on this one, November of last year is when we peaked on inventory over the last couple years. And since that point, November of 2022, we've started to see the inventory decline, first gradually, but the biggest decline has been in the last 30 days going through the month of May. So I expect that number to continue to decline, where we're getting back into that 2 to less than 2 months worth of inventory, which is extremely low, and that's going to create some competition in the market. The average list to sales price on Oak Island is down just 0.7% from the prior year. So that means the price that a seller is asking versus the price that they actually get, that percentage, which is at 98.6% currently of listing price to sell price, that's down 0.7%, which is not a huge number. Yes, that can affect some things, but we're also seeing these listing prices at higher levels from last year. So if you really did the math and compared property to property, for example, this one I'm in right now, 3519 East Beach, if we went on the market with this today, it would probably be at a higher price than we did a year ago. So even though we might do some negotiating on it, we would still likely be selling it at a higher price. So keep that in mind when you're looking at pricing versus average list to sell ratios, and they can really be across the board right now, with some properties going over asking price with multiple offers and others willing to do some negotiating. The average price per square foot is one that we're always looking at. That's up 1.7% year over year. And again, what's happening right now is we're starting to see these increases because we're getting into a time period where the market did start to slow down a little bit last year. So these numbers are going to start to show smaller and smaller increases or larger and larger decreases. But when it comes to average price per square foot, we're still certainly looking at a situation where sellers are selling their properties for more on Oak Island today than they were a year ago, and I expect that to continue. Total volume of real estate sold is actually down 22%. So again, we're looking at just all in all less real estate being sold so far this year over last year. And again, that number looks like it's starting to be on the rise. And again, we're coming off record years. So when we think about all these stats, a couple of the key things that I think you should keep in mind is, number one, if you're a buyer, there's certainly some great opportunities out there. Just in the last week, I've helped 2 clients secure properties that were well below the asking price and a great deal on the properties in any market of recent past. So these buyers are super excited, but we had to get out there and take a shot at it and give it a try and get into conversations with the seller to get there. If we waited till they adjusted price or things like that happened, then the whole market knew about it. So if you're a buyer and you're out there, don't be afraid to make some attempts and make some offers on properties if you find one that really fits your criteria, but maybe the pricing just isn't lining up or making sense to you. I've been surprised by what a lot of sellers have been able to do. Number two, on the flip side of that, if you're a seller, I would say don't rush this market and don't make a decision based on any single month. We're seeing this market fluctuate quite a bit month to month. So you have to look at the whole picture of what's going on in the market. You have to look at the trends and where they're leaning to. And you also have to look at the specific property to determine what the right strategy is going to be if you're looking to sell a piece of property. And sometimes it's going to make good sense to not feel the pressure that it has to sell the very first week. I just put a great house under contract that we got an offer the first weekend. It wasn't a great offer that the sellers were super excited about. 2 weeks later, we got a full price offer, no questions asked, and it was a much cleaner offer than the first one. So sometimes patience can actually be a virtue in this market. So don't rush it and don't make your decisions based on any single month. You've got to look at the full trend and where it's going. And to do that always starts by just giving me a phone call or shooting me a text. My number's down below. And we can talk. We can start to line out what your options are, whether you're buying or selling, and start to share some ideas. I'll find out what your goals are, and then we can start to have an educated and informed conversation based on real market data that's going to help you find the best solutions for whatever you want to accomplish. So I hope this video has been helpful for you. If you're just tuning in on this, make sure you check out my Welcome to Oak Island video. That gives you a great overview of the market. And we make these videos every single month so you can keep track of what's going on in real estate on Oak Island. We've got some fun ones in there. We've got some that are all business, but it's all great stuff for you to keep in tune with the market. And like I said before, if you have any questions or I can help you with anything, just give me a call, shoot me a text, and I'd be more than happy to start a conversation with you and see how I can help. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day.